What the? Okay. Here we go. Hey Dreamers, I'm Joe Pardo, and today I am, of course, talking with the awesome Matt Borelli, who is sitting here across from me, my Robin to my Howard. And of course, I'm joined again here with the lovely Ava Grace, who just startled because I moved my hand a little bit. And we're of course broadcasting live on this Monday, and this episode goes out Tuesday tomorrow. But we're broadcasting live on Facebook Live. So if you're not following me on Facebook, you should be. It's facebook.com/Pardo Joe, and follow me so you can get get access to checking out these live feeds on Monday rather than just listening in on Tuesday. Speaking of Tuesday, my guest this week for the show for Dreamers Podcast is the awesome Guy Hutchinson, who runs the Drunk on Disney podcast with the hilarious Dana Snyder, who is best known for the voice of Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, if you're familiar with that work. But he's done tons of other shows. And unfortunately, Aqua Teen Hunger Force just wrapped up, which is such a shame because it's such an awesome show. But yeah, so and he recently in the last 6 months or so put out his first book, second book, something like that, but all about Sesame Place. Now, Matt and I grew up going to Sesame Place over here in wherever Pennsylvania, which is just north of Philadelphia. But it's a fascinating story, and he got unprecedented access to Sesame Place to go in and check out all the archives and the photos and all that stuff, and it's really, really awesome. In fact, I need to get a copy of it still. When we met up at the Pop Shop a couple probably about 2 months ago, he forgot to bring a copy of it. So I still got to get a copy of it. But he's a great guy. Super happy to call him a friend of mine, and I can't wait for you guys to check out the interview. I think it was snowing the time when we were recording, or something to that effect. But yeah, anyway, Matt, how was your week last week?
It was good. I spent a lot of time with my niece, and she's always very entertaining. Trying to find new ways to keep her busy, keep her off the TV set.
The TV set. Do the kids even watch TV at this point? Isn't it all iPads and tablets and phones?
Her mother took the tablet away, so.
Oh, so a TV. So that's the downgrade. That's
right.
It's like third world country at this point. You got to watch TV.
Yeah, I can't just hide somewhere and watch SpongeBob. I actually have to go to a place where people can find me and try and pull me off the TV.
So for this week, a couple things happened. Ava turned 3 weeks old, so she's here. Back to on Wednesday, she'll be a whole month old already. This time, even though it seems to be going slow, the days just fly by. It's like everything's pushed and fast forward, but I'm slowed down in that fast forwardness because everything I do at this point is just in slow mo, because I have to you were standing out the door this morning waiting to come in, and then I had to help take Melissa. I had to help Melissa with her, and get some other things done in order for me to go out and just open the door for you. So it took way longer than it should have.
Yeah, it was like waiting for an audience with the king.
Well, or the queen, if you will.
True.
So anyway, so there are a couple things I wanted to talk about this week on the pre-show, the Dreamers Podcast pre-show, as I'm calling it. I don't know if anybody else is calling it, but to me, it's a pre-show for the interview that comes after the fact. I had a long conversation with somebody that got me kind of really fired up about, and it's funny that no pun intended, but all about the motivation, the fire that we have inside of us that makes us want to do things and do more of it, right? And get better at it. So for me, I got really fired up about what was being said to me, and I don't want to point out names or anything like that, but I mean, Matt, because I called you right after I left, and
oh, yeah.
And I think I didn't even realize that 7 minutes had gone by since you got on the phone and said hi. I said, how you doing? You're like, oh, I'm good. And then I went off for like 7 minutes
I
about
could hear
this.
the fire in your voice building up. Like I knew I was in for a tirade. You're pretty angry.
I was pretty angry. I was really, and you keep using the word fired up, because I want people to have the same drive and the same hustle and the same, like, I'm going to get this done and I'm going to actually do it, and not just sit around and be like, oh, well, now 2 years have gone by and I still haven't completed it, and now I'm settling because I just have to get this thing done, rather than getting it done right, or getting it done to the level that we really should be getting things done. On a, well, not a level, but a, to a, what's the word I'm looking for, Matt? See, this is why Matt's here, because Joe's vocabulary sometimes eludes him. So, and I'm talking in third person like a Ross Perot for anyone who still knows who that is. But you know what I mean? Like, to a, not a satisfactory level, but a like excellent level, like to the next level. Can we say the next level? I don't know if that's descriptive enough. But doing it better than just doing an acceptable job. You're doing like an exceptional job. That's it. Yeah. Learning words with Joe. Phonics with Joe. If phonics is the right term, right? Phonics. I think it's phonics. Yeah. So I need to be hooked on them. That's the problem. So I really, for me, I work to work more, and I work to work harder, and get more projects out. So like, for me, I understand, like, I have a clock right above my head, and at some point the clock on this little girl is about to go off if I don't get her more comfortable. The clock is going to go out on me, and I have so many projects, so many creative ideas and things I want to get done, but the problem is I don't have a team. So for me, it's like I have to work as hard as I possibly can to get those things out before the clock runs out, and before I no longer am able to be on this earth and get those things done. Because there's more that I want to do than just the creative side. There's the, I don't know if the philanthropic,
Philanthropy?
Yeah, with the ick at the end. Yeah, I can't even say the word. There's a lot of charity stuff. There's a lot of good that I want to do in the world from the hard work that I've created. The stuff I've created. So it's more than just about me, and creating and being recognized for my work, but more so being able to help other people because of the work that I do. That I think that makes more sense, right?
What is your time frame? Because you talk like you don't have a lot of time to get things done. I mean, is it just that you have so much stuff that you feel like, because you have the whole rest of your life, but...
Dude, life goes by fast. And honestly, as soon as she was born, life sped up a lot.
Well, sure.
But like I said, I'm living it in slow motion because everything takes that much longer to accomplish. So it's like doing things that I want to do as quickly as I would want to do them is not possible. But the days just seem to be flying by. Like, seriously, I feel like sometimes I wake up and next thing I know, it's time to go to bed.
But you enjoy the process. You enjoy doing things. It's not so much, not looking at the end goal and all this is just kind of work leading up to it. You're actually benefiting from the work itself. So, it's work, but at the same time, it's fulfilling work. It was the impression I get.
Benjamin Mullen just said philanthropic. Philanthropic. Thank you, Benjamin Mullen, for that. See, you learn something new every day. Philanthropic. Now, I'm going to be saying this to myself as I go to sleep, and I will be able to hopefully say the word. I'm going to say it slow, because at this point, everything I'm doing is slow. But it's all for the right reasons, right? And like you said, I am enjoying the process, and I'm enjoying this little girl that's in my arms right now. But the point is I'm not used to like, I have two speeds, right? It's like fast or stop. Oh, and she's making a face. So for me, going slow it's definitely a change, and it's a change not in philosophy, but it's a change in a lot of times the new, like, the old ways that we have of doing things isn't necessarily going to take us through the new experiences that we have. Sometimes we have to come up with newer and better ways to accomplish those tasks.
Oh, sure.
Right. So for right now, like, I'm trying my best to get things accomplished. Like, I've been getting things accomplished, but like I said, it's just not as much as much as I would like to be getting accomplished. And she's back to sleep. Good.
Well, it's not like you lack for organization. It's just, to me, it just seems like maybe you have, a lot on your plate. But like you said, you can't work at your usual two speeds. I mean, you've got, you're kind of going to work at Ava's speed at this point. And on Ava's schedule.
She needs to speed up. She needs to get her butt on, like, on a car or something. Treadmill. I hate treadmills. Because treadmills keep you in the same place, right? You can run as hard as you want, but it doesn't mean you're going anywhere.
It seems like the analogy for most people's lives, and maybe that's why they need to
get more fire in their belly and more motivation to want to do things and stop talking about it and get up and actually start. Even like I always say, it goes back to, even if it's just a Google search, start somewhere, right? Start with something. At least then you can start to do the research. It puts things in motion, or it can make you want to turn in a different direction than the direction that you're in, because you realize that it's not going to work, and you have to be willing to pivot.
It's like a domino effect. I mean, I find that if I look up something, I realize, oh, this wasn't as complicated as I thought it would be to get into, or hey, this is so interesting. Like, one link leads to another, and all of a sudden I'm not an expert on it, but I feel like I know enough that I can actually go and pursue this, as opposed to, I heard somebody talk about it. It sounds kind of interesting, but I have my own misconceptions about what's involved, and like I could never, so you kind of blow it off and. You lose out. You miss out.
Yeah, and then I'm all about not missing out on much of anything. So, and living it to the fullest. Because, like I said, I very well understand that there's a clock over my head, and I don't know when that is going to end. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and we just got back, me and you were out at Home Depot and had a very interesting experience. Now on the show, the last couple of weeks that we've talked, because obviously there was a couple of weeks where I was off from talking live on Facebook Live here doing the pre-show, but we like to talk about management styles and like how people can do better at what the job that they have and create better experiences for other people. Well, customer service is it's all about creating experiences, and I had a very odd experience over at a giant orange boxed retailer that I'm not going to name, but it starts Orange Julius. No, it's not Orange Julius. It's not Orange Julius. It's the Depot one. Yes, the Depot. Casa de Depot. Casa Depot, I guess, or Depot Casa, if you will.
I got you.
So, yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down. So, what happened was, I had an interesting conversation the other night with my friend Mike about how his parents had just bought a new freezer out for their garage. And he pointed out that their old freezer was using about 8 times the electricity that the current one they just bought does. 8 times, because it was from the 90s. And he's like, don't you have a freezer out in your garage? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, well, if it's using like 8 times what the current one is, you're probably running around almost $400 a year running that freezer. And I was like, I don't even know how old the freezer is. I've had it, it's been in the house as long as I can remember. So it's easily been here since the 90s. So I was like, okay, and maybe even longer than that, like maybe even the early 90s. So I was like, that's interesting. So maybe it's contributing to why my electricity bill is always so darn high, which really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, you might even have to go back and take an inventory of, just where you can make some savings. I mean, changing out light bulbs for,
Well, we've done all those. We're all LED at this point, man.
Gotcha.
And we were compact fluorescent before that, but at this point it's all...
Like, I tend to unplug a lot of things I don't use, because, like, even if something's, like, not turned on, like a TV set, I mean, it's inconvenient, but it is draining power, even if it's off. And, enough of those things will add up over time.
Definitely. I think a lot of it's the air conditioner. Our air conditioner unit, how the whole house one, it doesn't blow very well through many of the vents. So I think at some point I'm going to have to get somebody in here with like a snake and then maybe tape up some of these joints and stuff like that. But and honestly, money savings is something that I do like to talk about Dreamers Podcast because money, dreams usually take a lot of money. As Walt Disney said, these dreams, it takes a lot of money to make these dreams come true. And a lot of times, instead of just looking at the sales aspect, I like to look at the savings aspect. How much can we save to make these dreams, to get money rather than, oh, well, we have to sell more things or we have to create more products or we have to do this or that. Like, we have to look at our lifestyles and see how we can save. So it hadn't even occurred to me that this freezer was using that much electricity. Or potentially, I have a meter. You can get like a little box that you can plug your electronics into and see how much it's using and how much it's going to cost you a year or a month and then a year to run. So I haven't even done it. But we happen to be at Home Depot and we walked past the section of all the appliances and everything. And I was like, I wonder if they got freezers here. So we went all the way to the very back of the store. It's like a dark little alley. And I was like, oh, look at that. I was like, oh, man, look at this. This much more. Now, we have a stand-up freezer. It's probably like 14, 15 cubic feet. They had a much smaller one. It was like 6.9 with a top loaded one. So you would open it up from the top instead of from the side, like ours. Ours opens up like a normal refrigerator, and the power per year was $27 a year, and I was like, wow. Like if the one that I have, because the truth be known, we don't really use our freezer to its full potential out in the garage. But when you need it, you need it. Like when we have parties, we always end up with extra ice, or we end up with extra food, or we end up with, freezing stuff. And our freezer, it's big, but it's not big enough for like trays of food or bags of ice and stuff like that. So if in fact when Mike was doing his searches and he said that a lot of these old ones are using between $20 and $30 a month in electricity, and that might even be during the winter months when it's cold outside in the garage versus the summer months where it's not cold out, it's like 95 degrees out there. So I was like, hey, let's get this freezer. I was like, I'll figure out how to fit it in my little car. It's not huge, but it's big enough, and it would serve its purpose. And it's like $170. I was like, if I can sell mine for like $40 or so, now we're not talking about 170, we're talking about 130, and we're already going to save that just in the first like 6 months just from electricity usage. If mine is using that $400 or $500 a month in electricity, or a year in electricity, right? Because even the big one was like the 15 cubic feet was like $53 a year in electricity. So it's like, okay, well, if it's 6 times or 8 times that, I mean that's where you're going to be getting big savings. So here's where the customer service thing comes in. So I had to go find somebody. I mean, being at the Depot, you're always going to have to go find somebody because it's almost very rare that somebody just happens to be there to ask you if you need help. And if they do, it's usually when you don't need help. And then 5 seconds later, you need help. So I went, found somebody. It wasn't too hard. Was actually pretty okay with that. She goes and gets somebody else to try to get it because it wasn't out for me to just like throw it in a cart or on top of a cart or something like that. So, and she made us wait there we were there quite a while. And the reason is they have like, what did they say, like 6 or 10 of them in stock or something like that?
Well, she said they just got 3 in.
Oh, was it only 3? Oh, I thought 3 was at the other location, but I thought they had like 6 or 7 of them there.
Well, the store we were in, they had literally just received them, but they weren't, put out on the floor. They weren't probably unpacked and what have you.
They weren't unpacked. They were, according to them, they were still on the truck.
Okay. Yeah.
They were still in the truck. So I said, oh, okay. And I should have taken it further, but I mean, I tried to, but I don't want to be a jerk, right? I shouldn't have to be a jerk. I'm the customer here. So I don't want to create a bad situation for other people. I mean, they're just doing their job, and they're listening to that dirty policy word. So they said, unfortunately, we have a bunch of them. We can't give them to you because they're all still on the truck. She said, but I could sell you the one here that's on display. And I said, well, there's a bunch of dents in the front. I don't mind taking it off your hands, but what kind of discount do I get for taking one that's on the shelf with a bunch of dents in it? Well, because we have other ones in stock, we can't give you a discount on this one. And I said, well, that's where I was like, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, what do you mean you don't actually? I said, okay, well, why can't you just get the other ones on? Well, they're buried. We have a ton of stock because it's spring and blah 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 blah. Okay, but you can't sell me those because you're not willing to get someone to get it. So, and I'm not really willing to sit around and wait all day for you to get it off the back of the truck. So their other solution was, well, you could just go to the Washington Township location, which is, I don't even know where the Washington Township location is, like in Washington Township per se. Like I know where Washington Township is. It's not that far away, but my point is I don't know. Like I'm here now. I want to buy it, and if it's not here, I'm not driving 20 minutes each way to go buy one. Like I don't need it that bad, but I would like it. I'd like to go home and just pop it in place, take the few things that we have in ours and put it in and throw it up online. So, yeah, they wouldn't sell it to me because the policy states that if you have them in stock, which they didn't, they're still on a truck, so they couldn't sell it to me, they can't give me a discount on the one. I was surprised they were even willing to sell the one that they had on the shelf.
I was too, because I would have to think that they were just going to have to replace it with one of the ones that came in, or...
Yeah.
So...
And that one had dents, so it's not even like it was new. And the other thing I was thinking was, even if it didn't have dents, I have to transport it without any kind of boxing, so I'm probably going to put dents in it too, or potentially damage something to get it home. Or someone might, I'm sure it's not super light. I mean, it's probably not super heavy either, but you got to pull it down off of the shelf and all that. So that's the thing, like. At that point, see, if it was me, I would have been like, let me get my manager and see what we can do as far as like 10% off or something. Because I still got to pay tax on that. And it's got dents. I don't really want it to have dents. But if you're willing to basically take the tax off, and then, like I said, I sell mine for $40. Now you're looking at even less money. At the amount of energy that I'm using, I'm going to save that excess money pretty darn quickly. Without too much effort. So I just think that at that point, policy really sucks. Rules are nice because we can bend and break rules, but policy seems to be something that people like to hide behind because then they don't have to be the bad guy. Somebody else can be the bad guy, and in that case, it's policy. So I mean, you probably thought we were really going to get a fridge or a freezer.
It seemed that way, or like we had a discussion last week about. Not just hiding behind policy, but somebody has to be in a position to make decisions. You can't just constantly refer up the chain. Like the buck has to stop somewhere. Like, okay, I'm the guy. I make the decision. Yeah or nay.
I could have asked for a manager, but again, I don't want to be a jerk.
She was going to get a manager. I mean, because we were waiting there for 10 minutes. So, it was kind of wondering what was going on. Like, maybe they went and checked the warehouse. I don't know, but. At that point, if you hadn't been there and it was me, I just would have walked. I'm like, you know what? I'm not waiting around any longer. I don't need it.
I didn't want to wait around either. We were there way too long to end up not getting anything. Because had they have waited, we would have had to wait a lot longer. So I'll just, at the end of the day, I'll go back in a couple of days and probably get it. Then maybe I'll go back and they won't have any in stock anymore because they've sold them all. So we'll see. Plus, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with all my tables because I have a ton of folding tables that are all stacked up on top of my my current freezer because it's a side-loaded one instead of a top-loaded one, and I don't know what I'm going to do with all these tables. Like, I got to put them somewhere else. I can't put them on the top because that's how you open the thing. So, gotta solve a problem there. But that's the problem I would have figured out pretty quickly had I gotten it and had someone help me move it and put it in place. So, I'll figure it out, I'm sure. I have no doubt. But yeah, so that was the big thing from this week. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention. I watched a really good. It's not really good. It was good. The new Nicolas Cage film, The Trust, with Elijah Wood in it, and it's probably one of his better movies, like overall. I would think it was very Elijah Wood-esque. Like there was a lot of like funny parts that were like. It was dry humor, but it was like situational funny. like because of the situation. Like, it was always ironically funny. So if you get a chance to see it, I don't know if it's on like going to be on Netflix or whatever. If you get a chance to see it, I would totally recommend watch. Plus, what's his face? Nicolas Cage has a killer mustache in it, and he plays a cop, so it's definitely hilarious. So check that out for sure. So I guess that pretty much wraps up the week. Like I said, not too much happened. We made a big deal about customer service and getting that fire in your stomach to make all this happen. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose the thing is, where's the incentive there for the employee to go the extra mile, especially in like you said, a big box store like the one we went to. You're not making commission. There's really no reason to go out of my way to try and play let's make a deal, so to speak. Granted, from the customer, your perspective, it's like, well, this stinks. I'm here. I want to buy it. You're not going to sell it to me, or you're not going to make a reasonable effort to accommodate me. That's like, what the heck? But from their perspective, it's probably like, we're that store and. You don't need your business. It's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, there's go to Washington, drive 20 minutes each way to go get yourself a freezer. If I was there to buy a freezer, maybe I would have went, to the probably Lowe's because it was on the way to where the other depot was. Actually, what was it? Mikey here said that he just heard that Netflix is raising its subscription price by $2. Even for the grandfathered accounts, so going from 8 to 10, I believe, $9.99 for the lowest account. You canceled your subscription, really?
Well, yeah. I mean, you start to add it up. It's like, how much do I really watch on Netflix as opposed to how much I'm paying? I mean, if I really want to see a movie, I could just go to Redbox and rent it for like $2. And
is it $2 now at Redbox? I thought it was $1 a day.
Well, I think it was like it was a DVD or Blu-ray.
Oh, maybe Blu-ray's more? Yeah, probably more.
Even so, I mean, it's next to nothing, and I don't watch that many movies to really justify. Plus, I'm already paying $100 a year for Amazon Prime. I don't really watch many of their movies. I do take advantage of their 2-day shipping, but it's like if I really need to stream something, I'm already locked in.
That's true.
I mean, all Netflix is giving me is streaming. They're not going to give me 2-day shipping or free cloud storage
or free books, free comics.
I don't know about
maybe I don't know.
I feel like I get a lot more.
Oh, you get free music too.
Right.
The Prime Music is free. I think
it's $100. At the same time, I feel like I'm getting my money's worth.
You're getting something out of it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't need things in 2 days and don't use any of their streaming services, then you don't even need Prime, really. Like, if you can wait 4 or 5 days for things,
sure.
Like, they have free shipping on pretty much everything anyway. But 2 days.
But for the cost of shipping in general, it's just like, man, it adds up, even for just like standard shipping.
And you can get big things with free shipping. It's crazy. Yeah. Like with free 2-day shipping at that. Oh, we're moving around here. We're squirming.
And the choices on Netflix aren't all that great. I mean, there are some good original Netflix shows. For example, Orange is the New Black or Daredevil. I mean, House of Cards. But at the same time, I mean, there's other ways to get that stuff.
Yeah. Well, not everybody has access to those ways, Matt.
Right. So I can go to a friend's house that has Netflix. Is what I was referring to, of course.
Yeah, of course, that's what you meant. Going to a friend's house and Netflix and chilling.
Right. Netflix and chilling
with your friends, or as previous guest Jeff Langley was on the show, and he was talking about which is a future interview. He was talking about his girlfriend because they're both, performers, and she's in Florida right now. So it's like, oh, you're doing a lot of Skype and chills. And he's like, I don't know what that means. I was like, yeah, because you were like way too into your career to have time to even know what Netflix and chill is, let alone Skype and chill, which is what you're clearly doing. But, you got to do what you got to do to make it work. The long-distance relationship thing, I've been there, done that. But, it's not like she doesn't live around here. She just, they work in different areas.
Yeah, where I was going with that was, I mean, when I'm looking to save money, these subscription services are the first thing I look to cut.
Yeah, they add up.
Spotify, Pandora. I mean, it's like, it's all nice, but it's not essential.
Unless you're using it to its fullest ability. Like, Pandora's great if you were going to use Pandora all the time, or Spotify, like, or using it consistently all around, like every day, then it makes sense. But if you're not going to use it constantly and use it to the fullest potential, then you're right. That's another way to save money is start cutting out those services. Because you can always get them again.
Yeah.
It's not like you couldn't turn it on and turn it. It's not. They're most of them are non-contracts except for Amazon Prime. It's a year, but it's it's $100, but there's ways to get it for less than $100.
Yeah, I mean, there's been twice where they've had some sort of a special
Black Friday, I think, deals or end of the year
like
deals.
75 1 year, which I thought was it's $25, but still, it's a
yeah. I mean, you could divide that up over 12 months of you using it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna pay for 2-day shipping on most things if you didn't have it.
Oh God, no.
I mean, unless you really need it, but then you probably would just go to a store to go pick it up.
Yeah, it's still cheaper even with paying for gas and what have you.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely options that you can do to make that work for you. The Netflix thing, another thing you could do, Mikey, is get some other people because they have other accounts that you could stream it to multiple devices that are designed for family deals. Where I think it's $15, but you could have 3 or 4 people. So now you're talking about $5 a person. Mm-hmm. And plus, I think there's some other aspects to why you would want to do that. I think you get HD streams versus standard def streams or something like that.
Yeah, it's different options they offer.
Yeah, so there's other ways around it. I mean, even with Amazon Prime, you can set up sub accounts. Mm-hmm. So you could split your Prime account with 1 or 2 other people that live in other locations, and technically you could do that. Now, obviously, I think they might see what what you've been looking at. So you might want to be careful what you're looking at on Amazon, but. Whether it's it could just be for gifts. It doesn't have to. We don't have to be talking about anything adult here. It could just be for gifts. But you see where I'm going with that, right? You want to make sure that you aren't giving away presents, what you're going to give for presents,
sure,
before you actually give them, because we like surprises. So yeah. What else is been going on? Anything else in the news that you saw?
Nothing really drastic. Nothing that really jumped out at me.
No. Well, it's already been it's already been 32 minutes. I mean, last week we went for an hour, but I had a ton more topics to go through than we do this week. So I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Ava's been squirming around more and more, so she's probably gonna be waking up soon. But yeah. I think it's been a lot of fun, and Matt, I appreciate you coming in again week after week, being my Robin.
Hey, it's fun to participate, and it's good to have a chance to sit down and talk with you. And if people enjoy it, then great.
Yeah, definitely. This week we coming up shortly is the Guy Hutchinson interview. He is the author of the Sesame Place book, which is really awesome, which I can't wait to actually get to check out past the pieces that I have looked at. And one of the hosts of the Drunk on Disney podcast with the hilarious Dana Snyder. So definitely go check out Drunk on Disney if you can. Great podcast, great, very funny, and if you love Disney, then it's definitely a great way to spend your time. And until next week, Matt, it's been fun, and stay tuned for the interview. Sorry you guys can't really hear it. I'll fix that next week. I'll do some kind of microphone setup better things. Right now it's just on my desk using a small stand. So hopefully for next week you guys will be able to hear better. Till then, I'll see you all later. Thanks for joining us.